Today we've gotten a bunch of new information on Modern Warfare 2. A lot of this is coming from the Ghost of Hope over on Twitter. He tweeted, Dolphin Diving will be in Modern Warfare 2 alongside sliding. So we've not had Dolphin Dive for a while, and to be honest, I didn't really think it was going to return, especially in an Infinity Ward game. I thought Treyarch would be the ones to possibly bring it back, since it was traditionally something that would mainly be in Treyarch games, and I always thought that maybe they could bring back Dolphin Diving and have sliding too, and it seems like that is going to be the case. He said holding circle will allow you to dolphin dive, whilst tapping circle will allow you to slide. People have been suggesting this way to do it for a while, and they are finally implementing it. I do think sliding is better for the general mechanics. I don't really like how, in order to get the most efficient moving in Modern Warfare, you have to constantly slide cancel and destroy your controllers. I do think that slide cancelling needs to be readjusted. This essentially bug has become such a huge meta, even though it's just a really annoying thing that was never even intended by the developers. He went on to say, a classic minimap is indeed present in Modern Warfare 2. No perk is necessary. Huge information. Joe Seacott is crying in a corner right now. I hope that Modern Warfare 2 can make improvements on the original Modern Warfare and actually reassess the criticism that that game got. Even though it was largely successful, I don't think Modern Warfare 2019 was successful due to the gameplay design choices. I think that game was really successful because it was the return to Modern Warfare after so many years that people love the original trilogy. It was the first game with free DLC, a crossplay, a much new improved engine, with gunplay and gun animations unlike anything we had seen in any previous Call of Duty. It was the first game to ditch supply drops with a fairer microtransaction system, even though it's still not perfect. In terms of the gameplay decisions though, like not a normal minimap, I think all of these things were hindrances of that game, and I think even the players who liked that game liked it due to other reasons and not because of reasons like this. So if they can improve on all of the mistakes of the original Modern Warfare, this game could be a huge hit and bring back players who didn't like the original, because I think we can all agree the gunplay in Modern Warfare 2019 is amazing. A lot of things about it are amazing, but I think a lot of the gameplay design choices were very poor. And whilst that game took many strides forward in the right direction, those poor gameplay choices were what held that game back in many people's eyes. He said Modern Warfare 2 will change how players approach picking perks with their classes. He said the way Modern Warfare 2 is approaching perks is that you can choose 4 perks. This means you get to choose 2 in the first column, 1 in the second column, 1 in the third column, and from what he was told, the first column is more of choosing your playstyle. You cannot change it to being 2 perks being able to be chosen in a different column. It's only 2 perks in the first column. Not sure how I feel about this, but it's an interesting change that we'll just have to see how it works out once we get to play the game. Another really juicy piece of information, just like the information about the minimap, is that he said maps are indeed of the more classic 3-lane style. Think Cheshire Park, Candor Hideout, Gunrunner, Hackney Yard, and Hovik Sawmill. Another one of the big critiques of Modern Warfare 2019 was the map design. They went back to a more cluttered map design with way too many objects around the map and hiding places for campers. And the map design was a bit messier. They tried to go back to map design of the old days, but it didn't really work that well. Personally, I am a fan of 3-lane maps. I think they just work very well. Yes, they do get repetitive and they do have similar layouts, but it does seem like Modern Warfare 2 is going to have much better maps, and a lot of them are going to be 3-lane. Now, yes, they can have other ones that are not 3 lanes, but I think they do need a good mix of them in the rotation. The game also needs to have a decent amount of maps on launch and a decent amount of maps that are solid. We shouldn't be waiting for DLC maps to release in order to get decent maps, because Modern Warfare 2019 on launch had very few good maps. There were literally only a couple, and even the good maps on launch weren't really that good compared to past Call of Duties. They were only the better ones in the game. They were alright maps, basically. He said overall, from what he's been told, the game is a solid 7 out of 10, and there is room for improvement. We are 8 months out from release, so a lot can change from now to then. He wants his hands on the game more than ever to see things in execution, and that's a good point, because whilst a lot of these changes are good, until we get to play the game and get a feel for it, when we play the alpha and beta in the summer or whatever, we won't really know how good the game is. And whilst I was very critical of the original and didn't really play it much, and I am skeptical about this game, from everything I am hearing, it does seem like Infinity Ward have reflected on the mistakes of the past game for the most part. I think Infinity Ward by far the least communicative studio, and we saw that with Modern Warfare 2019. The communication was dreadful. but over the past year, I think Call of Duty's communication with Sledgehammer Games and Raven Software and Treyarch has improved, and there's still a lot of room for improvement, but communication needs to be key for Modern Warfare 2. They need to be honest with players, and they need to reflect on the past feedback of Modern Warfare 2019 and make those changes, because I think most of the feedback that that game got was pretty unanimous. It is hard for developers to know what changes to make when various different people in the community are saying different things. And for example, with Treyarch games, I think often the critique is all over the place. People want loads of different things, and rarely when players are asking for changes is there anything unanimous. But I think with most of the changes people wanted from Modern Warfare 2019, most of the feedback was pretty unanimous. Of course, the community is wide and vast, but I don't think it was as polarizing as some of the other critiques in other Call of Duty games. Okay, so far everything's been really good news, but now we have some worrying information. He said, Last Stand is currently in Modern Warfare 2 and functions as a field upgrade instead of a perk. He hopes Infinity Ward removes this based on criticism before launch. So this was the thing that was going to be in Modern Warfare 2019, but it got cut before launch too. And something that I want to say is that often the developers will put things into the alpha QA tester builds just for testing purposes. Just because this is something in the game and is something functioning within the QA tester's builds doesn't even mean they're going to implement it in the actual game. More than often, they're probably just testing things out. In fact, developers will even test things they don't think they're likely to implement, just to see how it is. Maybe there's only a 1% chance they think it will be executed well and will work in the game, but they just want to see what the QA testers have to say and give them feedback, and they just want to see how it performs in-game. Because everything works differently in our heads to in-game. But yeah, I don't know why they would even bother testing this, because let's be real, this would never be a thing that would work. It would always be something people would hate. But yeah, like I was saying, just because it's in a QA tester's build doesn't mean they have it planned. They could just be messing about with different things. So yeah, it does seem like Modern Warfare 2 is going with a more aggressive playstyle. Modern Warfare 2019 stripped things back. It got a lot slower and more tactical, as they claimed, than previous Call of Duty titles. It seemed like it was more of a mixture between Call of Duty and Rainbow Six Siege with some features of some other games. The gameplay was slowed back a bit. It does seem like they're speeding up the gameplay with the sequel to allow for more run and gun action. Whilst you could still run and gun in Modern Warfare 2019, it was slowed down a bit and it was made more difficult than other Call of Duty titles, and the game was less of an arcade shooter. Call of Duty is an arcade shooter. Modern Warfare 2019 is still an arcade shooter, but it was less than some of the other Call of Duty titles, particularly Treyarch titles, we had seen. And they were also trying to strive for realism whilst it also being an arcade shooter. It had a bit of an identity crisis when Modern Warfare 2019 didn't know if it wanted to be an arcade shooter, didn't know if it wanted to be a realistic shooter simulator, which it literally isn't, which is why I don't think they should have been striving for realism so much. In the campaign, yes, strive for realism. Multiplayer, just have a bit of fun with it. Same with the co-op mode. Speaking of the co-op mode, Ralph has given some information on it. So DMZ is the co-op mode, as you have probably heard before, which stands for Demilitarized Zone. It's basically like this Escape from Tarkov open world-esque kind of game. It's similar to Warzone. A lot of the mechanics are similar to Warzone. You drop down on a map, loot, exfil at the end, kind of. He said the mode will follow an elaborate storyline in continuation from the campaign, chronicling particular characters, fronts, and quests. So this is essentially campaign DLC. This is where the storyline will be heading post-launch, and there'll probably be crossover with the Warzone storyline too. If they do end up using the same map when Warzone 2 releases, we'll have to wait and see. Ralph did go on to say Infinity Ward's associate comments on Modern Warfare 2's campaign and its supposed brutality. The topic of Modern Warfare isn't something to play around with. We are ready to bear the brunt for what our campaign intends to tell, though we are pleased with its messages. We're not sure how brutal this game's going to be in comparison to Modern Warfare 2019. This game is going to be focusing on the war on drugs, as I'm sure you have heard. Modern Warfare 2019 focused on the war on terror. Ralph is claiming that everything is left to be a bit of a grey area. So they'll paint all sides of the war on drugs to be bad, or at least a bit of a grey area where everything is a bit ambiguous. But yeah, I wonder how they're going to approach it politically, what messages the game will show, or will they just leave it open-ended for the player to make their own choice? I just hope that there's no propaganda in the game, because a lot of past Call of Duties, particularly some of the Modern Warfare ones in the original trilogy, there is quite a bit of American propaganda in there, and I really hope they don't take that approach. Now, there has been various leaked gameplay images. Now, these are just recreations because, of course, the actual images will get copyrighted, so I'm only able to show these on screen. Shadow Company is going to be heavily involved in the the campaign too, and I do wonder what's going to happen to Simon Ghost Riley and Shepard. Will there be similar storyline beats to the original Modern Warfare 2? How will they tell that story, or will it not have any relation at all? Because whilst this is a reboot, Modern Warfare 2019 did kind of have some similar events to the original trilogy, just told in different ways. And I wonder if they're still going to be trying to do that. Will they try and tell a different Shepard Ghost story that's somewhat relatable or similar to the original but different? Regarding skill-based matchmaking, Ralph said despite plans for revising Modern Warfare 2's skill-based matchmaking system, disbanding lobbies are supposedly here to stay for all future premium Call of Duty titles. So yeah, like I was saying earlier, whilst this game is taking a lot of strides in the right direction to amend a lot of the issues with Modern Warfare 2019, this is a bad one. Unfortunately, skill-based matchmaking is here to stay, but according to Ralph, they are going to be adjusting it, so hopefully it's not as severe as some of the recent Call of Duty titles and Modern Warfare 2019, but disbanding lobbies is here to stay. This is really disappointing. You can't stay in the match the same lobby you were in after the end of the game. It's how people used to make friends back in the day, and why game chat isn't really used much anymore. And the reason for this is that Ralph responded to Hope saying, that's where the fine line lays. It's whether the player considers leaving the match or entirely closing the game. And that's the reason why they're keeping disbanding lobbies in the game, despite a lot of the vocal community not liking it. I guess the silent minority, the casual players, will easily back out of a game if they are in a difficult lobby and then just stop playing the game entirely if they keep having to join that same lobby with the same people. I guess having disbanding lobbies increases the average playtime because of the silent minority, whilst it probably decreases the average playtime for people like us who play it more. Furthermore, Hope said there is no sprint to fire times on Modern Warfare 2 guns, and you can sprint while aiming down sight. This was originally leaked by Ralph, but he is able to back it up from his own sources. He says currently it's not really functioning properly and is really messed up and needs more downsides like inaccuracy and such. He went on to say, you know what, I'm going to be bold and say I like this idea. I like that it makes pacing likely much faster. This doesn't make you stationary, it's just about not making it a busted mechanic. On the right track here in my opinion. I just want to say this seems like it is going to be a very weird mechanic. Of course, in real life you would never be able to do this. No one is running it around aiming down sight, so they're going to have to add an insane amount of recoil and shaking. But at that point, there's not even a point in adding it to the game if the only way to balance it is to have so much shaking where it becomes practically unusable. Hope went on to say Modern Warfare 2 will bring about significant improvements to its sound design compared to its predecessors. This means much clearer audio and more. He was told it's some of the best sound design in any recent FPS game. This means you won't have any of these is he below me or above me situations anymore like in Modern Warfare 2019 and Warzone. It'll be clear and concise where any sounds are coming from. He said, I am wondering if this new sound design could be soft implemented into Warzone with Season 3. We have COD developers last month in the call with content creators saying that they have a big sound design overhaul coming in Season 3. He said, turns out it's specifically directional footstep audio, but it's likely this fix they're implementing with Season 3 is still directly from what they are doing with Modern Warfare 2. Again, big steps in the right direction in cleansing a lot of those mistakes they made with its predecessor. Apparently, all previous mechanics from Modern Warfare are present in Modern Warfare 2. This means slide cancelling, tag sprint, etc. These mechanics will coexist alongside some of these new fresh ideas that I discussed earlier in this video, and they make the game feel neither foreign to players nor the same as its predecessor. The addition of these mechanics certainly are for the betterment of pacing issues people experienced in Modern Warfare, which Infinity Ward are actively listening to with this title, so this is all pretty much good news so far. I do hope they tweak some of the past issues like sliding and tag sprint just to make it a bit more fluid. Well, not necessarily fluid, but just to speed up the gameplay. Anyways, that's everything I have to say regarding Modern Warfare 2. The last thing I want to mention is a quick message from the sponsor of this video, which is Bodies of Water VR. Immerse yourself in this new and exciting VR-only sports-based action arcade game, a game that gives you all the fun and excitement of scuba diving in real life, but from the comfort of your own living room. Free dive, snorkel over various action-packed and exhilarating challenging adventures, which includes poolside scuba diving, training, bayside snorkeling, free diving, cliff jumping, luxury beach diving. The list goes on and on. You never have to touch another body of real water as long as you strap into this game. Enjoy the time of your life whilst recovering doubloons, searching for shells, identifying fish, finding hidden treasure, and more. And you can use my link in this video's description as well well as a pinned comment. And if this game sounds like something you would be interested in, if you have a VR headset, or if you are looking to get one, this is a must try, and you can check it out using my link in this video's description, as well as a pinned comment on this video. To enjoy Bodies of Water VR, the ocean awaits you. So yeah, that's everything I wanted to say. Thank you for watching the video, and make sure to subscribe if you're not here for the latest and greatest Call of Duty news and information. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye.